whatever time of day it is that you are listening to the Youth Gone Mild podcast. I'm your host, Gen X Joe, and we are in the Wherever I May Roam studio. This episode is sponsored by Celebrity Events by Lisa Gandia. Check her out for all your celebrity event needs on celebrityeventsrock.com. All right. This band is called Posavant. Posavant, yes, you heard me right. Remember that name because you're going to be saying it a lot in the years to come. Now here's their story. Two brothers, Nick and Kris. They are both music producers, both multi-instrumentalists, and they formed Posavant in 2024 with one mission: to bring rock back to life. Not the watered-down, auto-tune, algorithm-approved version of rock. Nope. Actual rock. And with an edge. With a personality. You know, it just has some teeth to it. Why wouldn't it? Because their motto is real music. And they mean it. There's no digital smoke and mirrors, nothing like that. And there's no label committee telling them what to sand down. They write it, they produce it, they film the videos. Everything you see and hear from Posavant comes directly from them. No filters, no middlemen. And apparently, I hate to say it, but Gen Z is paying attention. Well, I don't know if I hate to say it because I'm Gen X, but I'm glad Gen Z is paying attention because these guys are being called the most groundbreaking band to come out of that generation. And now, after spending some time with them and listening to their music, I get it. This alternaprog sound that rock has been starving for is right here with Nick and Kris of Posavant. Here's my interview with the two bros.
How's it going? How's the music scene in Pittsburgh?
Oh, man, I think it's great, to be honest with you. Just depends on what your taste is. Pittsburgh is really a good, hard rock, heavy metal town. Yeah, so, throw alternative in there as well. I would say, country kind of outweighs a lot of the other music nowadays around here. Country, believe it or not, yeah.
Not really a Midwestern town, but closer to the Midwest than we are.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think it kind of goes just with the outer lying towns of Pittsburgh, really rural areas. Pittsburgh has at least 3 country stations. As for rock, I know, of course, we got DVE. They've been around for well over 50 years. We got the X. It's all alternative. I would say in my day, the oldies stations that played my parents' music now plays, what we consider oldies now, Motley Crue and Journey, and yeah, makes me feel old. So
is that what you grew up listening to?
Yeah, I'm an 80s kid. Yeah.
Then I feel even older because I grew up on 70s rock from my dad's music.
There's nothing wrong with that, man. My dad, first rock band I ever heard of was CCR.
Yeah, that's what I grew up on.
Yeah.
Even though they're not the 70s, but I grew up on Deep Purple, Zeppelin.
Oh yeah.
Sabbath.
Well, my dad would listen, even though he listened to rock, he liked country and polka music. So I shied away from all of that. So
okay.
and my mom, absolutely, I don't think anything ever touched the needle on the record player other than Elvis.
Oh, cool.
I don't have a problem with that.
So
we grew up on some Elvis too.
Yeah.
The Heartland rock,
Yeah.
Rockabilly.
Oh yeah, I like rockabilly. Nice.
We didn't go that direction.
No.
Yeah, we
went a different direction. We went through a lot of phases, Obviously, there was a lot of music influence from everywhere. We never really grew up in a particular scene where everyone around us liked a certain type of music. It was always really diverse. And the interesting thing about us is that for a lot of our life we grew up in China. So we were getting influences that were completely different in the US as well. So
Oh,
that
wow.
really shaped our music and how we made music too. So it's a unique blend, you know, and I think that's what music should be. I think right now with social media and with the algorithms and everything, like it seems that everyone's getting the same type of music. You know, I'm not meeting the kind of everyone I meet right now is like, okay, like we like a diverse type of music, but when I hear the type of music they listen to, it just all seems to be the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't have that group of people that's like, oh, I just listened to this. Like, say for example, I just listened to heavy metal,
Yeah.
or I just listened
Or-
to country. I just
yeah.
listened to, you know, R&B, or like even old school R&B. The modern R&B to me is just pop music, but old school rhythm and blues. But everyone right now it seems like a very similar kind of style. And
Yeah. For like pop music, everyone seems to be getting into this retro thing, which I find really lame, because they all want to feel like they're from the 70s and 80s, but the music itself is just not there. And
No.
even if they're recording with, let's just say, like analog gear or stuff, or with tape, because some people have that capacity and they have the budget. But when you just edit everything to a grid and oversample everything and auto tune the what out of your vocals, the thing comes out like it's processed. It doesn't feel like the same music that I grew up listening to, even though they were saying like, oh, I can obviously hear that they're trying to emulate the sound, but it's just that people seem to be too comfortable with technology and they don't know how to use it in moderation. And that's something that Posavant is not about. Like, we really want to bring back music that's more analog, but in a way that it feels more human, if you know what I mean. Like, we don't grid everything to, we don't snap everything to a grid. We let our guitars, fluctuate, up and down, with the tempo, not everything's so stiff like to a click track. And our vocals, we don't auto tune our vocals because we just love the music that we grew up listening to that was just human. And back then, a lot of people didn't track to a click. So like, you go through different emotions in a song. Like you said, you're a huge GNR fan, like Welcome to the Jungle. There's so many emotions in that song. It's not just one speed throughout,
No,
And
you're right.
I find that boring if that was the case, and that's what I'm hearing right now on the radio and what I'm hearing on, all these streaming platforms. And that really made us want to do something different.
So at what point did you two just kind of look at each other and say, when you started creating music, this is actually something good?
that's an interesting thing because we've been in music for so long, and we started since we were kids in China, and even to this day we still produce music for other people. We work as ghostwriters, we work as mixers and arrangers, and we do session work as well. So I think music has just been in our life for so long, and we've tried all kinds of music styles. And like you said, like the moment of realizing if what you have right now is what you want, it does take time. And we went through different iterations until we settled on what we have right now, which is the band Posavant. And this was maybe just a year in the making, and we just suddenly started working on a bunch of songs, and we were like, okay, this is really good. This is something that we haven't heard before, and we've listened to a lot of music. And I think the other part of it is like maturing enough to understand that all the influences you have and all the technology that's at your fingertips right now in the 21st century, you don't have to use all of that. Moderation is a big part of what makes art great, is the constraints when you're like creating something. It's not always like when you have an infinite amount of possibilities, you often get lost in it. So I think that when we got to a certain point where it's just experience and I guess aging, getting older.
Nick and I laugh at these like YouTube, tutorials when people show the tracks of songs nowadays. There's like 200 tracks in one song, like overdubs, like 8 or 9 tracks of guitars, 9 tracks of synths. It's just like, dude, do it in moderation. Like, we don't need to hear a whole symphony in rock music, just make it You know, make it personal and make it loud. You know what I mean? Like play with passion. That's what's really important. And that's what we really wanted to do. And we finally found the balance because we've been through the phases where we were doing it probably more processed. And now we found the balance of how we want to present our music.
Now, when creating your music, is there like an unspoken rule? And I'm looking at the brother aspect of this between you two in the studio that outsiders might find like, that's a little weird, but you guys seem to feed off of each other.
We do.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, you know, we grew up together for our whole lives. We've known each other's our whole lives. We've had up and downs as well as any people have, and in music as well. You know, like we've had times where you know, each one of us wanted to go a separate direction with our music, and we couldn't really see eye to eye. But I think the most important thing in music, I think, when you're making it as a band, is to have that tension, is to have that, you know, pushback from the other person. Not everything that you're doing is going to get the approval of the other person, and that's what makes band music so good compared to an individual artist who's not going to get the feedback or criticism that they maybe should get. So I think this goes to a lot of like bands right now, that the older bands, a lot of them, they've lost that fight between each other, you know, like John Lennon and Paul McCartney used to fight, or like Keith Richards and Mick Jagger. You know, all these great bands that had the duels, and it was strong personalities, and they would fight each other on
Musical
what they thought,
ideas.
what they thought was best for the song. And I think that's the thing with us that is, I think it's integral to the band when two people have differing opinions. But the ultimate goal is we both know that we want to make great music, and we know we're going to find a way to work it out. So, but it takes years, you know, but I want to keep that tension. I think that's what makes good music.
100%.
We had phases, you know, even with, there's a lot of producers out there that are like old school producers, and they'll tell you that they want to make real music, raw music, and they don't want to edit anything. You'll hear a lot of people say we don't auto tune vocals, but like we've worked with a couple really like big name producers, and some of them will leave unnamed. But when we started working with them, they were really surprised with how far we were willing to go with the idea of being raw. They were like, "Oh, you're not gonna even touch the drums at all. Like you're not gonna grit anything." It's like, "Oh, you're not gonna copy this guitar from the first chorus to the second chorus." And so you're not going to tune your vocals at all. Like, oh, we thought it was just not like throwing on a wave tunes to auto tune it like a rapper would, but like you're literally telling us you're not going to like touch it at all.
Yeah.
So we surprised a lot of these people that were like, you know,
and to do your solos in one take. That's another thing. Like a lot of people piece together their solos, and it was just, you know, we were surprised, like, because a lot of people, you know, they don't do what they preach, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And don't tell me any names, even if you were going to, because I don't want my heart broken. So
there's obviously a lot of backstory to a variety of.
I was really disappointed when I got into the music production business because, you know, the heart of the song, the heart of the lyric for Harsha, our song, is "You weren't the God I made you." Because I grew up having a lot of musical heroes. So did Nick. And when we got into the business, we understood that there were so many components that made an artist, that made a band. Ghostwriters, you know, mixers, engineers, even to the label, like A&R people, executive suits that we despise as musicians. But the further we got into the business, we understood the integrity of people like that, and people like you too, because you present art to the public. You make people hear our music, which is something that we are very flattered, because without people like you, without radio, nobody would ever hear great music to begin with. And that's something that we just felt like fans, they didn't understand that. I feel like most fans feel like, oh, the singer of whichever band is the god, and they're just this supreme being, and they're perfect in every way. But they don't really understand the people that are behind the scenes that sort of make the artists who they are and make them so significant. And this song is sort of a nod to everybody that works behind the scenes. And we acknowledge them, and we want people to know that there are people that present great music and present a great, you know, band, not just the artists themselves. You know, like Nick and I would always say, worship the music, not the artist.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Now, do you think your band could exist if you guys were not brothers?
Interesting. I don't think I've ever had that question asked. I don't know. I think there were moments in our like musical career that, you know, we were, the tension was so bad that if we weren't brothers, maybe we would have just went our separate ways. So but again, this is the fight, like I said before, the tension and wanting to fight for better music is really a crucial part of the band. And I feel like the brother aspect just, it gives us an extra chain link, an extra connection that really helps us move forward with the band. Because I think anybody, this is the funny thing, I known a lot of bands that, you know, they kind of broke apart, they kind of went their separate ways because they couldn't see eye to eye, or maybe there was just some small issue that you know, people didn't want to fix.
Yeah.
But in our situation, we kind of feel like because we are brothers, we're never going to be in a position where we can't fix a certain issue. I think we're always going to find a way to get through it. And this also goes for our personal lives as well, but especially in music, because anything could happen, you know,
We're
when you're in a band.
we're sort of stuck together, like,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not. So like there's really no point in, you know, quarreling. You know, just get on with it. And it's hard enough to be a musician in 2026, you know, when you don't have, you know, the financial capability and stuff like that to like present a band, because it's really hard. It's not just making art. It's not just writing music. Like a lot of people right now write music with AI, you know, like I laugh at that. I think like if you need AI to write music, maybe this isn't for you. And not even scratch that, not maybe. Music isn't for you, period. Because there's so many things that have nothing to do with music that people, like musicians, they have to go through. They have to go through these struggles to get their music heard. And it just comes out of a lot of discipline, and you got to be ambitious to like make it work.
All of this came from like a young age, you know, like when people use AI to make music and they hear this stuff and they're like, oh, this is so cool. You know, I made this song, but you know, in reality, like the ability to play the instruments that are in the songs that we make, or any like great musician, when they make a song, like the fact that they can play those things, it didn't come naturally. No one's that talented. You know, everyone needed to put in the work. It was, you know, hours and hours. The old saying in Chinese, there's a saying where if you want to get really good at something, you need to put 10,000 hours into it. So, I mean,
we feel like it's an understatement.
Yeah, 10,000 is the limit, like the bottom. So I would say, like, you know, when people use AI, they just want to bypass the hard work and they just want to get to the part where they're experiencing the music and being proud that they created it. But what makes music so good is the fact that you put the hours in and you were able to play the stuff that you play.
Yeah.
So there's no shortcut in making good music is kind of the point.
Right. And the thing is, I think one of the key words you said right there when it comes to AI is creator. But are you truly an artist?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, you're not really creating. You don't really have the control over what you're producing when you're using AI. It's kind of like, it's like opening a mystery box. Like when you write the prompts, when you do whatever you want to do, you throw like references from the song you want it to sound like. You don't actually know what's going to come out. But when we're producing music, there's when a songwriter, an actual songwriter, someone who has the skills required to write music, when this person's creating music, they have a pretty good sense of where they're getting at. Like before the song even starts, they have something in their head and they're able to play that out. And the ability to transfer something that's in your head to your hands and play it out as music, that's the part that takes hours and hours and takes a long time to.
And I would even go as far as saying, like, we don't do anything in our recordings that we can't present live. Because
that's the big part too.
Like, I never dodge the high notes live. I always sing them like they are on the record. Like a lot of people say, like, it's, you know, I want to make the record sound as the best as it can, and a live is a completely different thing. It's just an energy thing. Like, I don't believe in that. I believe, like, if you're able to do it in a record, you have to be able to do it in a live setting. And that's just how we've always approached it. We've never, did something that we couldn't do.
Yeah. There's been like I don't know if you caught on to this trend, but there's been a lot of YouTubers have been kind of getting exposed, like YouTube guitar players, YouTube like musicians that people are finding out that a lot of the stuff that they play is they can't actually play it live because whether it was doctored in some kind of DAW or something, or they sped the speed up or whatever it is. Yeah. They can't actually play the instrument as good as they present. And a lot of people feel that's disingenuous. And, to me, it is kind of disingenuous because you're a musician and you're playing something and you want to be able to play it real. That's the whole point of art, is to be authentic. So, we try to do that to our best of our abilities. Like, again, you're human, you're going to make mistakes, but when we play live, we try to play exactly like we played it in the records because, we feel that's we owe it to the audience and the people who come to see us.
And I don't want to give your music a label, but it's almost as if there's no particular genre for your sound.
That's kind of what we're going for. And we always say that we want to make our music a musical experience. It's not necessarily rock. It's not necessarily alternative or metal. And it's not really pop, but we want it to be a musical experience. It's like going to a theater and watching a movie. When you see the song, you don't know what's coming next. And you can't really say, oh, this band sounds like that
so-and-so.
Yeah, that's like, we really don't want that to happen. We don't want anybody to hear it and say, oh, you sound like someone else. So that's the key for when we make music. And if you listen to our other songs, like Untrend, which is currently on streaming platforms, as well as Other Side, like, each song has its own thing. Like, it's not like, I know it's really important. We really value this too, which is continuity when you're releasing music as a band. But I think a lot of times this continuity kind of takes away the creative like aspects of music. Like, you're trying to sound the same every time. And we that's a struggle that we've been on for a long time, is to find that continuity between different songs while also expressing as much as we can creative wise. But we feel like we've really found that balance. And these songs, if you listen to it, you can clearly hear it's the same band, but each song is so unique in its presentation that it's really fun listen. And I feel like we wanted to make it a musical journey for anyone who listens to Posavant's music. A core element of Posavant's music is that back and forth. And that's what makes us unique, is that one person can come up with an idea and the other person can completely mess it up. And eventually we'll find a way to make it work again.
Yeah.
So which one of you is the most stubborn when it comes to that?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say
I used to be really stubborn.
Yeah.
I used to be a purist, like just rock music, 4 instruments. And later on, I branched out. I grew up, so to speak. I understood that if you wanted to make the best product, you have to have more people come in and work with you. So like, I started to give more creative control to Nick, and we sort of built this Lennon-McCartney kind of songwriting team right now, and it goes out all the way. It's even into production, even into mixes. Like, I feel like that's the way you have to do it. You have to hold your ground, like on certain things. Like, you can't pivot on certain things, but you have to give people enough leeway to bring in creative control, and that's how you create the best product.
Yeah, totally. I feel like Kris is definitely more stubborn in the creative process. I feel like I'm more stubborn afterwards. Like, I would hear something constantly even after the song was released, and it would still bug me, like something about it I felt like could have been better, or maybe it should have been done in a different way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of me. I guess I wouldn't even say that's stubborn. I guess it's just
the musician.
Yeah, the conflict.
They always say like you
never
get the 10 out of 10 record for like a musician.
We kind of look at ourselves like this, and we say like, at some point we got to release the song. Like, we can't just keep meddling with it, keep fiddling with it, totally. Because you could do it forever. Like, it can literally never be perfect.
Yeah.
So, you just have to release it. You got to get over it.
Don't get into development hell.
Yeah.
That never works.
And that's the whole point of the band, really, right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, when you have people around you, a support system, it really helps you, because I feel like this is something that a lot of musicians struggle with, is when they when they're working on music, they feel like, it's not there yet, something's not right. But when you have a group of people who are really talented around you, they can really help you see things that you didn't see. And I think that really helps make the music come out, because if you're one person, I can literally sit on a song forever and never release it, which nobody wants to do that.
Right. Well, Axl Rose did for a very long time with Chinese Democracy, but that's a
Yeah.
story for another day.
Yeah, I know.
No, it didn't come out so well, in my opinion.
No.
First, not like Appetite, not like Use Your Illusion. And that it usually is the case. With Limp Bizkit, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
The new record was not as good as people anticipated. I would even say it's one of their worst records, because development hell is just, it doesn't help people create, like, at all. Like, you just have to, once an idea is done, it's done. Like, you have to know when to move on. And that's really hard for, like, a lot of musicians.
Yeah. If it's someone chirping in their ears, you never know what it could be.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, when you think about it, most development hell albums for artists usually comes like well into their career. Like, they've had so much success with their previous songs, they're trying to match it, but they're not the same person anymore. They've achieved success. They've gone through a whole different journey that wasn't the same as when they just started out. They're not the same people.
They're not
anymore.
poor like their fans anymore.
Yeah.
At the time.
Right.
Yeah,
and times change.
True, times change too. So
it's like, how convincing can a millionaire, speak to the working class? In my opinion, not very.
Yeah.
No.
I think, like, they're the last people in line that should judge people on their political opinions, on their lifestyles, on whatever work the working class wants to do. That should not be the artists. Like, we're brought here to give you positive emotions, to give you music, to present art, not to lecture you or, like, try to be like you when clearly you're not. You're ready to the upper class, you're ready, the guy that's making millions with your music, something you love, which is great. And some people still kick ass to this day, and some of them don't, and they aren't the gods that I made them, the ones that don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and just as an average Joe who just happens to have a podcast, I couldn't agree with you guys more about political statements. No matter what side you're on, you are going to lose fan base.
I always remember, like, Billy Joel, like, he was adamant that at his shows he wasn't going to make any kind of political statements. He felt like the fans were there for the music, they weren't there for his opinions. Yeah. And he didn't want to make people who had an opposite political opinion uncomfortable at his shows. Like, they're here to listen to the music. My job is to play the piano and sing. Yeah. So, and he does a great job at it. And I feel like a lot of other artists, they lost that idea somewhere in a way, that their music is supposed to entertain people. It's not supposed to criticize or lecture people, regardless of what side you're on.
Yeah, whether you're a Kid Rock fan or a Bruce Springsteen fan, let's just make it about the music and not the message of what's going on in the world today.
Totally, yeah. We're there for the music.
Help us forget about it.
Yeah,
for like
the
a
point,
few minutes,
You go to shows to escape, not to be reminded.
You know what? That's perfectly said right there.
Yeah. And
How can fans find you out there on social media?
Well, you can find us just Posavant. It's the only name in the world that has that right now. So it's really easy to find. P-O Savant. And, we're on Spotify. We're on Apple Music. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Follow us. Come to our shows if you're in LA. And if you're not, if anyone wants to pick us up on a tour, now's the time. So, like, we're just constantly very active, on social media. So, like, people will be able to find us. And some of our content is a bit tongue in cheek, but everything is music related. It showcases, like, our musical abilities, from Nick's bass guitar playing to my guitar playing and my drumming, and us just, throwing ideas at each other. So it's a really good channel if you're into music, if you're avid rock music lover, you'd like our channels. Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be a part of my podcast, and I wish you guys nothing but success. And
Thank you.
you're welcome. Absolutely, guys. And,
Thank you so much.
hopefully this podcast will get the ear of someone and you guys can get on a tour out there.
That would be great.
Yeah, we'll be able to see you in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That would be great, man. And I know you'll be rooting for the Steelers and not the Raiders.
No way. That's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Hopefully you have a great day.
Hey, thank you, guys. You take care.
And that's a wrap for another episode of the Youth Gone Mild podcast. I'm your host, Gen X Joe. I just want to thank brothers Nick and Kris of Posavant for being my guest here today. And if you want to hear what Posavant is all about, go to their website at posavant.com, and it is spelled Posavant.com, posavant.com. And for all my listeners out there, thank you for listening. Props to you. Peace out, and remember, rock loud, live proud.